Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another day of Amy All April. Today I am answering all of your questions about indie makeup part 2. I did the first video a few months back during Indie Miss, and I can link it in the cards for you in case you're curious. And I basically just answered a bunch of questions from my Instagram, all surrounding the topic of indie makeup, but then I went ahead and said if you have any more questions, feel free to comment on this video. So today I'm just going to be responding to those questions, and hopefully this video will be helpful for you. I'm going to add it to my Beginner's Guide to Indie Makeup playlist, which I'll also have a link down below, which has a bunch of really great information if you're getting into indie makeup. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and jump on in. So the very first question says, how much leeway / forgiveness should we be giving indie brands when it comes to processing times, especially in regard to what they say versus what they actually do? And I think this is a great question. I don't think that there's one right answer to it as far as processing times go, that you should always be aware. You should always check their website before you place your order to see what their average processing time is, because it's probably going to be a lot longer than your regular mainstream brand. It's probably not going to ship out the day that you order it, that kind of thing. But I do completely understand the frustration of when a brand says, oh, our processing time is 2 weeks, and then it's been 2 months and I have not shipped your order. I really think that what they're saying they do is what they should be doing. Whether I would hold it against the brand long term depends on if they're being upfront, if they're giving updates through email and not just Instagram, because not all customers have Instagram. Are they keeping people informed? Because I think that's super important. And kind of explaining why, because I know that unexpected things happen to businesses all the time. I mean, unexpected is part of life. So if something gets delayed or their eyeshadow sleeves haven't come in, whatever it is, I just think that being upfront is the best that you can do. I know the answer was kind of all over the place, but as long as they're being transparent, keeping you informed, if it's a little bit longer, I could see forgiveness. But if it's one of those things where it's just like dead silence, like crickets, like you don't know what is happening, then it makes it a little harder for me to want to buy from that indie brand again. The next question says, how should I find out when a restock will happen? And I think that for a lot of indie brands, that information is going to be on Instagram. Some do have pretty good email lists and they'll let you know. But I've noticed even email lists, sometimes I'll get the notification a few minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes after launch, and sometimes things are already sold out because indie can be very limited. So I definitely recommend having an Instagram and following the brands that you really like, or if you know that the launch is coming up, having their post notifications on. You can also follow Indie Makeup Spotlight, which is my Instagram account, which basically just gives a bunch of news and updates, restocks, sneak peeks, when products go live, kind of thing. Okay, the next question is, if you had to only own one Cine Grace eyeshadow, what would it be? Only one Cine Grace eyeshadow. Okay, it's in a palette. It's not a single shadow, but I know I have it here somewhere. It's gonna be from the Tiny Marvels palette with Mel Thompson. This shade right here called Fire Butts is the most beautiful olivey, greeny, silvery, metallic, just absolute buttery perfection. I'll do a swatch of it real quick to show you. Look at that bad boy. Like, yep, if I could only own one Cine Grace shadow, it would be that one. The next question is, do you think we'll eventually see consolidated sites / stores where people can shop multiple indie brands? Something how you can find Nabla on Beauty Bay, though I know Nabla is a bigger indie brand. I feel like that's a business opportunity waiting to be exploited. I bet there are lots of Europe / non-US based folks like me who'd love to give their money to indie brands. And actually I've talked about this before, that I think that would be so amazing if there was like one big site. And especially like in my head, I was thinking single shadows. But if you could just buy from a ton of indie brands from one place, I think that would be so nice, especially when I was thinking about single shadows, because sometimes people are like, oh yeah, I want to build a palette of single shadows, but I want 2 shadows from this brand and 3 from this brand and 1 from this brand. But then when you add all the shipping, if you have to add customs, like that adds up really fast. I think that would be a dream. I hope it happens one day. The next question says, are there any particular brands, magnetic palettes you recommend or don't recommend? I really recommend the Shop Miss A palettes because they're so affordable. They've got lots of cute patterns. I have had one break on me, like the inside part, like I just need to glue back down, but for like $5 to $6 for a magnetic palette, I feel like you just can't beat it. I also really like the Adept Cosmetics magnetic palettes because they've got gigantic ones. I use their huge crocodile looking ones all the time. I mostly buy mine on sale. I really want to get the Colored Rain Book of Shadows magnetic palette because I just think that's absolutely stunning. I don't know if there's any that I don't recommend. I wouldn't recommend getting Z palette unless you're getting it on sale or like a good deal because I feel like you can get better prices than that. The next question is, what trends do you predict for indie makeup in the next couple of years? I've noticed indie brands are ahead of the curve trend-wise in many ways, and I will be looking to them to see where makeup's headed. I'm really not very good at this, I don't feel like, when it comes to predicting trends or anything like that. I feel like right now the main thing that indie has contributed to mainstream is multi-chromes being made by a ton of brands now, becoming more accessible, being available in Sephora. But as far as the future, I don't know. I'm not good at that. I wish I was. Okay, the next question says, which indie brand has the best non-sticky lip gloss formula? Best non-sticky lip gloss formula. Honestly, this is the worst answer I could give you because these aren't available right now, but one of my favorites, what I'm wearing right now, the Lisa Eldridge lip glosses. Not sticky at all, feel like an oil gloss hybrid, so comfortable, I love those. I've also really been loving the Ofra and Peony lip gloss from the Samantha March collaboration. It's so good, it's in my purse right now. That one feels like butter on the lips. I do have a full video that's like my top 10 indie glosses, and I talk about which ones are sticky and which ones are not, so I'll link that in the cards here for you. Maybe down below as well, I'll link any videos that have to do with this video if you want more in depth, but yeah, this is the one that came to mind first, and I know that one is featured in the video. What would your dream collaborations be, such as for lips and who, eyeshadow singles or palette, and highlighters with who? Okay, my dream collaboration right now, I don't know. I mean, if I had to say, I would probably say like Terra Moons or Divina, just because I feel like those are two of my absolute favorite go-to indie brands. I feel like I really trust their quality, and yeah, as far as lips, eyeshadow singles or palette, I think it would be cool to maybe make like a single shadow curation or something. Maybe a palette that was like, you could be able to move the shadows around. I have absolutely zero plans of a collab in the works right now, just to let you know. I feel like I actually am at a point where I feel slightly more open to it, because if you know I had a really bad experience in the past, and for a while there I was like, oof, I'm not even thinking about wanting to do a collab, not for a long time. I feel more open now. It's hard when I think about like lips and highlighters specifically, because I feel like what I would want to go for, like if I was like, let me create my dream product, like a like super beautiful icy pink highlighter, or like my perfect nude lip color. Because when it comes to skin tone, I'm so pale, I don't want to create a product that wouldn't work for everyone. So I feel like eyeshadow is kind of like a comfort zone for me, because I feel like I would be able to do some type of curation that I felt like would work for everyone. So obviously, if I came out with like my perfect highlighter, like it's gonna be very focused on pale skin. So I don't know, but honestly, okay, if we're going there, if I could do a highlighter with Ofra, dreams, that would be dreams. I would be absolutely shooketh. Okay, anyways, this is a really good question. It says, do you think being an influencer has had any impact on how quickly you receive your orders from indie brands? I've heard that there is usually a longer wait time since they're smaller brands, but just wondering what is the longest you've ever had to wait? Okay, so the longest I've had to wait, I think maybe like 3 months or so for Cliona orders. And actually the Cliona order I'm waiting on right now, I made in January, and I just got a notification that it shipped the other day. So that's just a little over 3 months, and it might be 4 months by the time it actually arrives. Okay, but I have definitely done plenty of waiting. However, I will say something that bugs me is I don't want to receive special treatment at all if I make an order myself. Like if I get something in PR and I get it early, I'm like, oh yeah, I know it's because I got it in PR. It's because they know who I am. It's because I know it's because they were specifically sending this to me or whatever. But I had it happen once where I made an order to a brand not on the same continent as me, and it got to me super fast, and I was like, oh, this got to me super fast. And like all of my comments were people saying like, yeah, that's because they sent it to you early because everyone else is still waiting. And I felt really bad about it because I kind of try to think like when I'm buying something myself, I'm trying to give like the opinion of someone who has purchased it themselves and is just having the normal consumer experience. At least if the brand would send like a heads up or something, that would be great. But that's the one time that I know it had an impact and how I feel about it. All right, let's see. She also said, you're my fave YouTuber, love your videos, from a fellow redhead. Thank you so, so much. The next question is, how do you go about researching indie brands? I don't know if this applies to me necessarily as much now because I feel like I'm pretty in the know with indie brands, but my tips for anyone out there who's researching indie brands, I definitely recommend watching as many reviews as you can, looking on YouTube, looking on Google, checking on Reddit. Reddit can be a little bit toxic, so I don't personally go on there unless I have to, but a lot of times there are threads and stuff for different indie brands, and if there's like issues or anything coming up, you'll find a lot of good information there. Also, in my red flags for indie brands video that I did in the past, which is in the playlist I mentioned, I have a bunch of tips kind of for like what to look out for brands, so I recommend watching that video as well. The next question is, I know you have collaborated with a brand for your own eyeshadow palette. Do you see yourself collabing with another brand soon? I wasn't able to buy that palette, but I'd love to see another collab and support you that way. Thank you for wanting to support me. Like I said, nothing in the works right now, but I am open to it if it's a brand that I truly, truly trust and use all the time, and like, I have trust issues, okay? The next question is, what is your dream indie collab? My goodness, you guys really want me to collab? Okay. What would you make? What kind of color story would you go for? Which brand would be ideal? Okay, I will say for what color story I would go for, maybe something cool toned, but like maybe something green. I don't know. I feel like I have like a slight vision in my head, but also I don't want to say anything because what if it happens one day? They also said, what YouTuber indie brand collabs would you like to see in the future? Teresa is dead and Lethal Cosmetics, fingers crossed. They comment back and forth about it. I've seen it on Instagram multiple times, so if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be upset because I need it to happen. I feel like somebody needs to collaborate with Bad to the Brow on like some multi-chrome goodness, because Queen of Multi-Chromes. This is just gonna be me hyping up my friends and what I want them to do. Karen Harris, a lip gloss collaboration with Tower 28. I saw the other day, and I'll talk about this in indie makeup releases, the next one I film, but Glamlight posted that they're gonna be doing a collaboration with one of the most talented beauty people in the industry or something, and I feel like it's gonna be Rocio Ceja. I just feel like she's so talented. She deserves recognition. I also see the owner and her going back and forth quite a bit, so I have that hope in mind. Okay, next says, any tips on picking single shadows to add to your collection? How to start a small and cohesive collection of singles but not ending up with endless dupes? I don't know if I'm the best person to respond to this because I have a lot of single shadows. I don't think I have a small cohesive collection, but I will say that if you kind of focus on just buying shadows that are really genuinely special, whether it be a certain texture, a certain shift, and not buying single shadows that you just feel like every brand has. Okay, another amazing question says, how do you balance not wanting to negatively impact an indie brand with helping your subscribers to be informed, especially if the brand has done something unethical? This is hard because there's this like internal struggle, I would say, for me, because I want to be as open and honest with you guys as I possibly can be, but also like when you get to like that more like dirty place, I feel like sometimes that could just like bring negativity in, And some people really appreciate it, but some people are also like, that's disgusting. Like, how could you talk about an indie brand like that? They're a small brand. Like, some people are super sensitive about small brands. Even the other day, I laughed while I was putting a highlighter on and someone told me that my video would make the indie brand owner cry and that I was a brat and all kinds of things just because it's a small brand. I feel like because people are so sensitive to it, it makes me more sensitive to it and like deciding what to talk about and what not to talk about. Sometimes, even this has happened too, I've talked about a situation and said, how do you guys feel? Do you want me to talk about them on my channel anymore? Trying to get feedback. And then I got called out for trying to bring up drama and trying to bring in cancel culture. I wish that I was a person who's not sensitive at all and it could just all be like, just off my back, like who cares what anyone says. And I am trying to work on that. That's like a really big goal for me, is to just get better and better about not caring what people think, even though I think it's natural to care. So it has to be something really bad. I feel like I didn't fully answer the question, so I just wanted to throw in that when I was talking about my feelings, it's more about smaller situations and trying to decide whether it's worth it or not, because I know when I bring up drama, I end up getting attacked. But if it's something that's truly unethical or I feel like puts you guys at harm if you're buying it, then yes, I will talk about it. As far as balancing what to talk about versus negatively impacting a brand, I feel like if a brand does something that's bad enough that if I talk about it, it's gonna like negatively come back on them, I don't think that I should have any guilt in that situation. That's about them. They shouldn't have done whatever it was in the first place. If they're treating people badly or selling things that aren't safe, that's not on me at all. They are the ones that should be negatively impacted. Just because you're a small business does not give you a free-for-all pass to make mistakes, especially if you are doing something that's unethical. Okay, the next question says, best eyeshadow formula for that metallic oil slick look rather than sparkly. I'm gonna say the Cine Grace metallics is what comes to mind. Okay, I think those are all the questions that I had screenshotted, so that's everything for today's video. I really hope it was helpful for you. I hope that the dogs barking didn't bother you as much as it bothered me, and I'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow. Bye.